Breaking tonight, a closer look at just released emails from the IRS controversy, raising new questions about whether a top Democratic senator went too far and could now be facing legal trouble. Welcome to the Kelly File. I'm Shannon Bream, in for Megyn Kelly. Tonight, a closer look at Senator Levin, the latest Democrat caught encouraging the Internal Revenue Service to block the work of some conservative groups. Thanks to a lawsuit and a court order from a judge, documents have just been released showing what Judicial Watch describes as Levin repeatedly encouraging the IRS to harass Tea Party groups and potentially violate federal law. Levin was specifically upset about 12 groups in particular, 11 conservative, 1 liberal, and now there are questions about whether his demands of the tax agency may have crossed a legal line. Joining us now to talk about it, Andrew C. McCarthy, the National Review contributing editor and former federal prosecutor. All right, Andrew, great to see you tonight.
Nice to see you.
Okay, so how would this work? I mean, what we found out, what's come to light is that there were numerous contacts between the senator and the IRS saying, hey, this is how you should handle it, or what are you doing? I need a response. I mean, he gave them very tight deadlines saying, I want to hear back. I want to know what you're doing. And here's a little advice.
Right. Well, you know, look, there's an Inspector General's report, and there's no question that what they did was inappropriate. I think it was constitutionally inappropriate. It violated statutes. It probably violated, certainly violated their internal procedures. And he certainly aided and abetted that, but we're not talking about a criminal statute here. So did he encourage them? Sure. I think worrying about the legal ramifications of it is very secondary to the political accountability question and the real danger to people's liberty of having members of Congress exercise the executive branch and the administrative state's authority. That's what people ought to be concerned about and what that does to our constitutional rights.
And that was something that our fourth president, James Madison, was very worried about. And the concentration of powers, it's why we have checks and balances and why our founders so meticulously set that up. Is it your worry then that there's at least the appearance that a legislator was telling a federal agency how to do its job?
Yes, because it's a legislator telling them how to do their job is not like me telling them how to do their job. He has a lot of suasion over them. They have, they have power over the budget of the agency. They can make the agency's life really miserable and uncomfortable. Now, as it happens, I think ideologically they're all on the same page. And that, frankly, is the real danger here, because you have not just the Congress, you have a political movement which is now exercising the levers of power in a way that's really contradictory of our free speech, free association, and the like.
Okay, so we've got a poll on this, at least on the issue of do you trust the federal government? Right. Folks were asked that, and of course that encompasses a number of branches and people and lawmakers and agencies. Do you trust the federal government? Only 37% says yes, 60% says no.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like some of what's going on is getting the average American's attention, at least to the point that they have serious questions about whether they can trust their own government.
Yeah, and Shannon, think about this. This is with the media carrying their water. You wonder sometimes, how is it as high as 37%? Because every place you see...
That's the tweet I'll get. People will say, who are the 37%?
Right, but if this was a Republican administration and there were these kinds of abuses, I don't think they'd have survived this long. But there'd be much more outrage about it. And I think, the fact that the press hasn't spotlighted this the way it should have been spotlighted probably has the number 37 as high as 37. But if it gets more exposure, I'd expect the number to change.
Okay, we got some response from Senator Levin's office. And in part, it's very lengthy. I'll read part of it, though. They say he believes the IRS should enforce the law against any group, liberal or conservative. And in fact, he did point out one liberal group that claims tax-exempt status while violating the statutory requirement that they operate exclusively for social welfare and not engage in partisan politics. So his office says he was going after anybody that he thought was violating this.
And it just happened that 11 out of 12 of them were conservative organizations. That's all after the fact stuff, and it's great. But at the time he was acting, what he was pushing for was for these conservative organizations predominantly to be harassed. And that, I think, is the thing to focus on.
But yes or no, anyone prosecute him for any of this?
I doubt it, but it's a long haul to get to the bottom line here. I think right now, no, there's no crimes, but this is a political wrong, and that's much more consequential.
All right, Andy, always good to see you.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
see
coming
you.
in.